Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. And we just keep winning. We have another card coming out of the new branded structure deck, and I couldn't be happier. We just, us branded lovers, we're just Konami's target audience right now. We have the best lore videos, we have the best lore animation, and we're getting even more cards. So let's go ahead and check out what the latest one has in store for us today with the Fallen and the Virtuous. It is a quick play spell card that is always treated as a branded and dogmatica card. Okay, so that's going to be very useful. So the things that can search either of those are on the table. Excellent. Ecclesia and Lunar have something in common. They can both search this. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn, and you activate one of these effects. So it's not following the modern templating that we're seeing on spells right now that are like modal like this, where you can activate multiple copies of them in the same turn. You just can't activate the same effect of those modes, or the same mode of those effects, multiple times in a single turn. So you get your one, the Fallen, and the Virtuous activation per turn, and you're going to like it. The first one is send a monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz from your extra deck to the graveyard, then target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. That's not bad. So it just has mentioned, so it doesn't just have to be the fusion monsters, or the ones that list Fallen of Albaz as a material. It can be things like Despian Quiritis that has it in there. If you want to have the specific end phase, or is it? I actually forget when Quiritis triggers. Does that summon out immediately? Despian. Okay, so Quiritis does mention Fallen of Albaz, so you can send it, but it only triggers when sent to the graveyard in its owner's control from the field by an opponent's card effect. So actually, you don't even want to touch Despian Quiritis. It's all about the fusion monsters. But that's not bad. There's a ton of them that have really great effects while in the graveyard, especially the Rindbrum version, the one that has the tri-type fusion material on there. Excellent stuff. Love to see that. And then we have the second one. If you have an Ecclesia monster on the field or in the graveyard, target a monster in either graveyard and special summon it to your field. That's a more interesting one. So, unless I'm forgetting something, and I rarely do, we have two Ecclesias to choose from. Not Cartesia, unfortunately, because that's like a staple of branded lists. It's really useful, but we can't have any love for Cartesia. Ecclesia comes in the Dogmatica version, which is good. You can special summon it for free once it sees an extra deck monster. They can't run them over in battle, but it does lock you out of the extra deck when you use it. Thankfully, this summons from the graveyards, so you don't have to worry about the extra deck restriction, and you can get from either of them, so it's a Monster Reborn for everything at quick speed. There's also Incredible Ecclesia, though, which I think you're going to see a lot more in those branded lists. It's itself a free summon if you have less monsters. You tribute it at quick speed, get Albaz. That deploys Albaz's super polymerization effect, which is always very fun to hit someone that's run out of interactions with, just to show like, good try. Anyway, you are now contributing to my epic monster kind of deal. And that one I could see being used with this more often. Even though Incredible Ecclesia bounces back to the hand during end phases where fusion monsters go to the graveyard. So there might be turns where you choose not to do that if you feel like you're not going to be able to field it to use the effect. This is cool. I enjoy this. The fact that it's both a branded and a Dogmatica card still means that it's searchable by a number of cards. You can just play this as a one-of. It's recyclable because it's a branded card. You can send it to the graveyard with Serenir, which is pretty cool. I dig it. I also like that it's just removal that's in Albaz decks. I know we have Mirror Jade, which is the prince of removal, but I just it only hits monsters. This can hit any face-up card, and this doesn't require any setup. In fact, this gives you a setup for utilizing stuff in your graveyard. Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say about it. This is just a good, solid one of. I look forward to picking up the structure deck so that I can play a copy of this. Now, that covers the new cards section. We're also going to cover some other cards. There were a bunch of TCG exclusives and imports that were revealed for Dude, and I'm going to look at them right now, though this will not be a blind react because I actually did that with Empire Ian a couple of days ago. They were doing a whole big react thing. I joined them in. It was a fun little duo stream. If you want someone else to keep an eye out for card reacts, Ian does a great job analyzing it. So just mentioning that now because it's a great time for cross promotion, and you will fall in for my insidious YouTuber networking technique. Let's take a look at. God, this one throws me for a loop every time I read it. So Disguise the Copycat Hero is a level 4 light warrior tuner monster with 1400 attack, 1200 defense. If you have an equipped spell on the field or in your graveyard, or on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Cursed Copycat Noble Arms from your deck to your hand. While this card is equipped with an equipped card, you can target a non-tuner warrior monster on the field that has a level. This card's level and its name become the same as that monster's until the end phase. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. Important thing to note, it is the Copycat Hero, but it is not the Copycat Hero! So it does not fold into any existing hero support. Why they would choose to do that to confuse everyone, I have no idea. So I don't know what this is necessarily supposed to be for. It's a level 4 tuner monster. And level 4 is already like one of the best levels in the game. So you don't want to be copying them because, like, you don't need to change your level. You can already just turn them into a level 8 synchro monster or make a rank 4 out of it. So this is meant to pair up with, like, if you have warriors of different levels, you can make Xyz monsters with those. And then if you need those Xyz material to be archetypal, this takes on their name so that you can use that, which, like, if I remember correctly, there's, like, Noble Knights, like the Noble Knight Xyz monsters care about having exactly those on-theme monsters for it. Unfortunately, like, it's a tuner, but it's level 4 tuner. This does not work with Synchro Lancelin, right? This is all I've been thinking of is just how this is like especially because it serves as a Noble Arms card. This feels like it's just supposed to be for Noble Knights. Yeah, the materials for Ignoble Knight of High Lancelin is a tuner monster here and one or more non-tuner Noble Knight monsters. But that would mean the non-tuner Noble Knight would have to be a level 1, and that doesn't exist. Blah. And because this has to mimic something's level, you can't just pick one. This can't just be a level 1 monster unless you have another level 1 warrior on the board. It's infuriating. It's infuriating! Everything I read about this card sends me... Let's also read Cursed Copycat Noble Arms. Maybe then you'll understand the full extent of my hatred. Cursed Copycat Noble Arms is an equipped spell card. The equipped monster gains 200 attack for each equipped spell on your field or in your graveyard. Neat stuff. While this card is equipped to a warrior monster, you can activate this effect. You can't special summon for the rest of the turn except warrior monsters. Also, special summon a warrior monster with the same attribute and level as the equipped monster, but a different name from your deck. And if you do, equip it with this card. Then, destroy the monster this card was equipped to. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what? You have a deck that uses warriors and equip spells, and you are able to special summon this and give it Cursed Copycat Noble Arms. Disguise does not change its attribute. It only changes its level and its name. So when Cursed Copycat Noble Arms asks you to summon another warrior of the same attribute and level, it's effectively saying it has to be a light monster. It can be any number of levels because of the modulation effect on Disguise, but I don't know what deck this is for outside of just like Noble Knights, and even then, you don't need to do level modulation. All of the ones that you care about are already level 4. Like, even, like, Infernoble stuff, if you target, like... If you equip this to one of the fire ones, you can get a different fire one, but, like... And you don't even get to keep the original monster. You pass this off to a new one, and then that, like... then you destroy the original one. I can see this being very useful in Noble Knights because you can just summon Disguise if you have an equip spell in your graveyard for free, and then you swap it out for, it becomes additional copies of, like, Madrot. The fact that it kills itself means that it's perfect for summoning out Madrot so that you can, it's equipped with the Noble Arms, so you can activate it and then play those. You can get Boars, so you can get the Boars Search, but, like, I can't think of literally anything else that this works with, and what you're trying to tell me is that in the year 2025, you are printing support not for Infernoble Knights, but regular-ass English Noble Knights, and I've already been past this phase. I've already given up on the theme that I loved so dearly that you would never give them good support for, and this is just the same. Like, it's not good support, it's just more of it. It's just another way to get Madrot into rotation. You give it a Noble Arms. Cool. Maybe at some point you play, like, King Artorigus Xyz, and you equip this, and it's another thing that boosts its attack a whole bunch because you have a bunch of equip spells. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep going back to the well on this. It's not even... You made it a tuner, and it doesn't even summon you Lancelin of the Synchro variety. I don't know. This Synchro monster is pretty cool, though, if you're able to avoid the Noble Knight lock for a bit. Chanbar, the flashy Sports Knight, does play very well with them. It's a level 8 Light Warrior Synchro monster, 2700 attack, 2100 defense, requires generic material. Its first effect is that your opponent's monsters that they control lose 400 attack for each equip spell that you control. So if you were to use Artorigus, like, you Xyz summon it and you equip 3 to it, that's a total of 1200 debuff to their entire board all by itself. And that's not nothing. Once per turn, you can target one other card on the field, send one equip spell from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that target. So it's also just hard removal for any card, or just face it. Yeah, one other card on the field, you can just pop it while sending up a Noble Arms card in your graveyard, which is great. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can target 2 face-up cards in your spell and trap zone, destroy them, and if you do, special summon this card. The Noble Arms, once per turn, when they're destroyed, can re-equip from the graveyard 2 Noble Knight monsters that you control. So you don't necessarily have to lose your equip spells in that deck to get back Chanbar, to reapply the debuff, and get the removal. This is like, they're printing Noble Knight support in Doom of Dimensions. I don't know. It's like my ex is calling me on my phone. I'm not picking up. I'm not doing this again. I'm probably going to do a domain video where I play Noble Knights and that includes these. But that's not the same thing. This is a different thing. Especially because now we have a different kind of warrior support. The Hunting Scouts of the Deep Forest. Whereas Disguise was a thinly disguised piece of Noble Knight support. Now we have the stuff that's here to support War Rocks. It's got 2300 attack and defense. It's a level 5 monster. Faison requires 2 Earth Warrior monsters. Is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects during the main phase only, which is an interesting caveat to have. But I guess it helps it get to the battle phase. Its second effect during the battle phase, as a quick effect, you contribute this fusion summoned card to special summon 2 Earth Warrior monsters from your grave, except a copy of this card. And if you do, your Earth Warrior monsters cannot be destroyed by battle for the rest of the turn. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, War Rocks is a theme that is comprised entirely of Earth Warrior monsters, and a lot of their effects care about Earth Warrior monsters battling. So you have Faison, you go to the battle phase, it can potentially attack something by itself, but even if not, you can tribute it during the battle phase, get 2 Earth Warriors. All of your Earth Warriors become indestructible by battle so that you can attack with them, and the only thing you have to worry about is the battle damage you would incur, but you can trigger any battle's effects with them now. And if you're in a position where you have a bunch of Earth Warriors in your graveyard already, you can play Instant Fusion and get this out. It's still a fusion summoned card via Instant Fusion, and even though it can't attack during the battle phase, you're just gonna change it out for 2 more Earth Warriors. So this is fine. I give this a ranking of fine. Chevruel That's a very fancy name for our Hunting Scout of the Deep Forest. Chevrolet Hunting Scout of the Deep Forest is a level 7 Earth Warrior fusion monster with 2600 attack and defense, requiring a level 5 or higher Earth Warrior monster and an Earth Warrior monster, so it's a little more selective on that. It's also unaffected by your opponent's activated effects during the main phase only, and your opponent's monsters that can attack must attack the monster you control with the highest attack, their choice, if tied. That's kind of cool. Most of the cards that force attacks normally say to, like, either specify the monster itself or just say they have to attack. In this regard, it's always going to be the strongest one, so they don't just necessarily have to summon a 2700 attack monster to out this. They have to summon something bigger than your biggest monster, so A+. When another Earth Warrior monster you control destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon an Earth Warrior monster from your grave or banishment. So it's a reborn if you can kill something in battle. That's not terrible. It's a nice thing to have, and this monster does not need to be fusion summoned to activate any of its effects. So if we can reborn this monster, we're good to go. Hunting Horn is the card that you're meant to use with all of these. It's a quick play spell card. Fusion summons any Earth Warrior fusion monster from your extra deck using warrior monsters from your hand or field as material. Then if you activated this card during the battle phase, you can choose monsters your opponent controls up to the number of materials used from the hand for this fusion summon, and their attacks become halved until the end of the battle phase. And you can't declare attacks the turn you activate this card except with Earth Warrior monsters. This one is... I don't know how to feel about this, because it's not a searchable card, so you kind of have to bank on just hard drawing this in particular. By doing so, you have a fairly effective battle phase, an El Shaddoll fusion. It's actually encouraging you to fusion summon during the battle phase, as opposed to a lot of other cards that have restrictions on that now. It only debuffs monsters based on the material used in hand, so you don't want to entirely, dump all of your stuff on the board. Some of them you want to keep in your hands so you can get the debuff going. I suppose this has an interesting combination with something like Phison, because you go to Phison, activate Hunting Horn, special summon Phison using 2 material in your hand, debuff 2, and that's a way to get those 2 monsters onto the board when they otherwise wouldn't be. That's something. So, yeah. I guess it's good. I suppose it's good. I wish it was searchable. It doesn't work with anything. If it's not even like a fusion name spell to work with that. But it's good for War Rocks because it's more battle phase shenanigans that you get to play around with. Amazoness are also kind of a big winner for this one because they also like battle stuff, and they have their own fusion effects. So they also, on top of playing the Amazoness specific fusion card, they also just play polymerization, so they can make these normally, and Hunting Horn can be kind of like a bonus for that, so that's pretty nice. It's also worth noting that I just remember this recently, that Earth Warrior also covers Goki monsters, and we have a bunch of new Goki cards coming up in Doom of Dimensions. It's one of the big inclusions, and I'm trying to remember if their fusion effects can work with fusion summoning in general, or if we have to stick with Goki fusions. Okay, Sheik Ochre only fusion summons Goki fusion monsters, so unfortunately we can't cross the bridge in that regard, but we can. That's what Hunting Horn is for, if you want to play either of these, or just play regular polymerization. I think there's an issue with comboing with that, though, because Goki's want to be sent from the field to the graveyard. Hunting Horn wants you to send material from the hand, so you would be able to use cards you otherwise wouldn't be able to in this regard. You wouldn't get their search if you do. However, now that I'm thinking about it, Gokis end up doing that thing where they're linking a bunch of times, and then you get the search, and then you have Gokis in hand that aren't playable right now, and it's gotten better at being able to utilize those searches, but there are probably going to be Gokis in your hand anyway, so maybe Hunting Horn takes advantage of those searches. If you use a couple of Gokis to fusion summon for Phison, they go into play, and then when they go to the graveyard, from that point you can get their searches. Much to consider. Many things to be considering here for sure. Lycoris Lilyreaper, level 5 Dark Plant Synchro monster, 800 attack, 2400 defense. Materials are a tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. If a monster is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard while this card is in your monster zone, even during the damage step, you can gain life points equal to one of those monsters' attack in the graveyard. If your opponent takes effect damage while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can banish this card, send one monster from the field to the graveyard with attack less than or equal to the difference in life points, in your life points and your opponent's. This is one I'm like a mixed bag on, so people in chat were bringing up the fact that this is basically here for the Akiza cards, the new plant synchro deck there, and I suppose there are, like, having more options is good. I think the idea is that you make this, force your opponent to send a monster to the graveyard with something, and then you gain life points off of that. Maybe that's another way to help trigger your Arrow Mage effects, and then from there you use it as material for another synchro summon, so that when you deal burn damage, you have a way of dealing with your opponent. But my big problem here is that it doesn't check the damage that's dealt by the effect damage. It's checking to see what the differences between you and your opponent's life points are at that time. And that's really finicky, right? Like, if you're losing really bad and your opponent has a lot of life points, this is a good card because you'll be able to hit a really big monster. But even if you're winning, but not by a lot, then this doesn't hit a lot of monsters that you might want to hit with it. It's like I said, it's a mixed bag for me on this one. Maybe we'll see some utility off of this one, but I would not expect this to be the front runner for your next tech pick for your plant deck. Silk Bomb Moth is a level 6 wind insect monster, 2400 attack and 1000 defense. Ooh, Monarch stats. If you have 2 or more wind monsters in your grave and this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card, and if you do, shuffle a wind monster from your grave into the deck. So it's got a little bit of recycling there on the free summon. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can reveal the top card of your opponent's deck and apply the appropriate effect based on its card type. If you revealed a monster, place it in your opponent's spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell card. If the top card is a spell or trap card, you just get to banish it. So potentially, you get to get rid of a powerful... Well, not potentially. You take your opponent's top card and you get rid of it. Either you make it a card on their field, or you just get to get rid of it entirely. I'm kind of torn on this one, because I think the idea for this is that it's supposed to tie into the Magnificestorming cards. I forget what their TCG localization name is, but the archetype that cares about Mystical Space Typhoon. They're comprised entirely of wind monsters, and you'll have a ton of them engraved relatively early on, so you can summon this pretty easily, recycle one of your winds, which is great, and then you potentially shred the top card of your opponent's deck, or you give yourself a target for Mystical Space Typhoon, so you don't have to hit your own cards, which isn't terrible because we have a lot of cards that like getting hit by Mystical Space Typhoon, so... But it's options. It can fill up a zone. You know, it can put a card on their field, so it can mess up certain pieces of interaction. Yeah, interesting card. Not sold on. I just wish there was like other decks I could work with. I already checked to see with Ian if it worked with Speedroids, the other big wind deck I can think of, but unfortunately, they are my in-house expert, and unfortunately they have said that the last thing that the deck needs is another giant bricky monster that doesn't do anything. So that makes sense. Just what other wind deck is gonna, like, it's a wind insect, so maybe Battle Wasps? I was hoping Bee Troopers might have something to do here, but none of the card really cares about insect stuff. It's just an insect itself. I don't know. Following up on Stealth Magistus, Magnificestorming support is Fleeting Flower of the Magician. It's a quick play spell card. Target a face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls, or a spell or trap card that you control, and destroy it. Then if you targeted a card you control, you can apply one of these effects. The first effect is placing a monster from your graveyard in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell card, or add an equip or continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. Now, we've got a little, we're getting a little action from Performapal. I think it's Trapeze. Is it Trapeze? Sky Magician? It's one of those. It's the one that like also introduced the Magician's left and right hand and Magician's restage. So the fact that it gets back the equips and continuous spells makes sense. I'm not sure, outside of very specific decks, what ones want to place their own monsters face up in the spell and trap zone as continuous spells. I know Crystal Beasts want to, but I also don't think that destroying their own back row is in their best interest in this regard. This is an interesting one. Now, the Magnificestorm cards don't just care about Mystical Space Typhoon being activated, but quick play spells in general. So this kind of adds to that, but I don't know. Jury's still out on that one for me. Lunar Rabbit, Omajinai. It's a level 1 light spellcaster tuner, normal monster with 0 attack and 1500 defense. A mysterious visitor who has descended from the heavens. It converts pain into signals and sends them into space, but its purpose is still unknown. Pain, pain, go away. Someone's going to be really pissed to receive all that pain. I am sure of it. This is the beginning of a disaster. This is the beginning of the import cards, if I am correct here. This has been out in the OCG. They've been printing a lot of normal monsters with very specific types and attribute setups, kind of like Dibbity was for the Fiendsmith stuff. Now you have this for your Unexpected Die, or your Rocky Dragon thing, Primites. If you need this for your Primite deck, it's here now. Congratulations. Horned Brute Carnovorus, level 6. It says level 5 here, but it's actually level 6. Dinosaur Synchro Tuner monster, 2000 attack, 200 defense, requires generic material. During the main or battle phase, as a quick effect, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, synchro summon a dinosaur monster using this card that you control. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon a dinosaur monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except dinosaur monsters. This one is interesting. So there's not a lot of dinosaur synchro monsters that are actually out there, and the ones that do exist, they already kind of have infrastructures for them, but it's not bad, right? Like Glaciosaurus, the Transcendosaurus, is a level 12 one, and dinosaurs love their level 6 monsters so much. So if you summon another level 6 with this, you can use its effect when it hits board or attack with it, and then you can sync these two together to make Glaciosaurus. I think the big standout one is Jirac-Astero. It's the latest one from the new Dual Terminal set. It's a level 10 synchro, so you need to have a level 4 non-tuner in hand to summon with this, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. Then you make Astero, that sets you a Jirac card. The new Jirac cards are pretty good, so having a search for that one is pretty keen. And then once it goes to the graveyard, it's a ticking time bomb to summon out Jirac Meteor. So those are kind of like the two best use cases. There's some other things, but like, I wouldn't really recommend it. Endymion the Crescent Magistus is a Link 2 light spellcaster monster, 1850. A spellcaster with 1850 attack, you say? Little charming there, if I do say so myself. If this card is Link summoned, you can target a Magistus monster that you control and equip it with a spellcaster monster from your graveyard or banishment as an equipped spell. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target a spellcaster monster card in your spell and trap zone, treat it as an equipped spell, and return it to the hand. So, on summon, it sets up an equip, and then it can bounce that card back to your hand. So it's got some recycling going on here. It's nice that you have access to another way to trigger I think it's Artemis is the Link 1 Magistus. And I'm pretty sure they're a spellcaster. They better not be a fairy. One second, actually. Now I'm getting curious. Magistus. And I'm certain there are other Magistus cards that equip. Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden, is a Link 1 spellcaster monster. So we can re-equip this to try and get another search off of it if we haven't done so already. Crawley the Gifted Magistus doesn't help with this. Crowley the Magistus of Grimoires doesn't work here because while it can equip Magistus monsters from the graveyard to your Magistus monster that you control, it can't equip level 4 monsters, so it's almost exclusively here to equip the extra deck monsters, and those are not things you can bounce back to the hand. Also, a lot of them aren't spellcaster monsters either, if I remember correctly. So that's rough. If they are spellcasters, you can put them back into your extra deck, which is fine. Yeah, Ninaru's a rock monster, so that's not going to work. Varm is a dragon. I suppose Zora the Magistus Conflagrant Calamity does, but yeah, that and Zora the Magistus Verathragna. God, so many cool freaking Zora cards in here. Magistus is so cool. And it only returns spellcasters treated as equip spells. So I'm kind of at a loss here. If we had a more consistent way, well, maybe not, because we have other ones that equip, like this equips on Link Summon, which makes me think, we don't have a repeatable way to keep equipping so that we can keep bouncing back. But Zorua can, though Zorua only equips from the extra deck, so that's not going to be very useful. What about the, there's another one. What about Base Endymion? You can already Magistus, you control equipment Magistus from the extra deck. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what the big pull is here. I suppose the idea is that it's a cycle, right? No, Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden cannot be linked from this because it requires a level 4 or lower spellcaster monster. So you can't equip this with Artemis, bounce it back, link this into the Artemis that you just did, and have that whole hullabaloo. Yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss here. I just don't know what the use case for Endymion is. Let me know. I'm sure there's something, but I'm not versed enough in Magistus to be able to share that information. Double Fusion is a normal spell card. You pay 500 life points to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. Then you can fusion summon one more fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. This one I also feel doesn't really have a good shell to it. The two modes of this that are implicit are that you're using it as basically two copies of polymerization. You take 2 or more fusion material on one end to make a monster, and you take 2 or more fusion material on the other end to make another monster. That seems really expensive from a card economy standpoint to not have any other way of using material from it. The other way is if you wanted to ensure that you got to a particular fusion monster that required other fusion monsters, you could play this, make the first fusion monster, and then the other subsequent material and make that one. And that could work. You just have to check to see if that first fusion monster has any on-summon effects that you're supposed to have, because this is all happening on the same chain link. Same chain link. So if you make a fusion monster and then you fusion summon it away for a different one, it's not going to be in its place of activation to use its effect. Now, if it has a send to graveyard effect, that's incredible because you're just fast tracking it right there. But I cannot think of very many scenarios in which that's the case. So I don't know. It's a gimmicky card, but I don't know if it has a home. And then Garden Rose Maiden is important for all of the new Akiza stuff, so it's nice to have the alternate art. I think it's like Art Nouveau, I think is the style. Once again, artists in the comments, enlighten this ignorant plebeian. I am not myself a hard art historian, but I can tell you that it looks gorgeous. I'm so happy to have it. All in all, wild set of cards. The imports are fine. The Silk Bomb Moth and Fleeting Flower the Magician are fine. Same with Lycoris Lilyreaper. The Hunting Scouts of the Deep Forest is interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how they are applied to stuff. The Mimic Disguise, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm not going to let that poison into my heart right now. And I love the Fallen of the Virtuous. I think this is going to be a good solid one of to have on hand so that you have a card that's both removal or a way to get cards out of the graveyard using monsters that you were going to be using anyway. I feel like we're making a lot of usage of at least Incredible Ecclesia. So, fantastic stuff to see. But let me know your thoughts down below. What are some things that I missed out on? Are there any combos that you're looking forward to? Any pet decks that just got a little bit of an extra boost randomly because of these cards? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. And until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, that one dumbass, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, Anthrak, a Random Pup, Blade Runner 1034, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity RIP, Eki Bullock, Edwin Perez, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru02, Manga Pages, Mr. Machina, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Shizuki Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Zaldreka and Zentha, as well as all the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.